big thank you to Blinkist for sponsoring today's video. Blinkist is an amazing app for your tablet or smartphone with hundreds of books, podcasts, and audiobooks that are condensed into short reads or listens, otherwise known as blinks. I just listened to a blink called Drive, The Surprising Truth About What Motivates Us by Daniel Pink as I was headed to the studio today. There are some really great popular books out there, like Sapiens, The Courage to Be Disliked, and many more that are broken down into manageable pieces so you can get the meat of the books without it taking too much of your time. If you're someone who wants to try out Blinkist, the first 100 people to go to Blinkist.com/Chael Sonnen are going to get unlimited access for 1 week to try it out. The trial is completely free. You can cancel anytime throughout the period. You'll also get 25% off if you want a full membership. Again, that's Blinkist.com/Chael Sonnen. Michael Bisping was talking about Khabib, doing a little GOAT talk. And Bisping's contention was that Khabib has removed himself from the conversation. That Khabib father passed away. Khabib had made a promise to his mother, so he left the sport. Michael conceded that that was different circumstances, but if you try to put the resume of Khabib up against an Anderson Silva or a George St-Pierre, it just doesn't stack up. It didn't go long enough. Now, that's a very interesting point, and Michael is not wrong because, and I'll tell you why he's not wrong. You can't say he is. There are no rules for pound. All Michael has done by making this statement has told us his rules for pound. It's one of the reasons I despise pound. Not only could we never hold the event, not only would we never know, it's just like breaking down Batman versus Superman with all the different possible integers, but we can't even get people to argue to the same points. There is nothing within the rules of pound for pound that say it has to be over a period of time. Michael is identifying for you that in his opinion, the ability to extend your career matters. Now, when I tell you the rules of pound for pound, I believe I am the only person who is even aware that the term was coined by a boxing author out of Brooklyn in 1978. The author of the statement, who has poetic license over the definition of the statement, says that the greatest pound for pound fighter is if you took size out and you only used skill, who could beat anybody if the size were equal? Then you talk about the greatest of all time. And that's where Bisping's argument does strengthen. Because now if you were talking of all time, now length and duration does play a factor. Here's the thing. Okay? And I use this to defend Bisping. Because I believe on Bisping's best night, he can beat any middleweight there's ever been. And even if he didn't have that run, right, he got a late start at it. But on his best night, I think he deserves to be in the conversation of the greatest middleweight of all time. I really do. He's likely to not win it because of the rules that he just set forth, which was length. I just don't believe that matters. Now when you're talking about of all time doesn't have to be a long time. It can be a short time. They only used the word time. How are we to interpret that? I want to go back to Khabib because I want to clear one thing up. Khabib's legacy and the story of Khabib, much like a fine wine, okay, that story does not end until the last man standing is done. That Khabib beat. It's one of the things that makes St-Pierre the greatest of all time. You can't get around the argument. St-Pierre, and a lot of this was luck of the draw. A lot of this was matchmaking, and it wasn't even done by George. George had a career in that he got to compete with yesteryear, his current generation, and when he left, the future generation. The fact that George beat Johnny, and after George left and Johnny goes and grabs the belt and runs with it, George beat 3 different generations. Some of that was luck of the draw, but it's still part of it. If Poirier comes back and wins a world championship, that reflects on Khabib. Sure, Dustin will get some run with it. Sure, he will. Sure, Team Dustin grabs some strength. But until the last man Khabib beat says goodbye, the story of Khabib is ongoing. Khabib still got Gaethje that is going to go out there and represent Khabib's legacy. He's still got Poirier, who's going to go out there and represent his legacy. He's got RDA doing some stuff that still represents Khabib's legacy. It's very important that you understand that. And I don't even know how fair that is. But that is the way that it works very much. And I think that Michael would give me that point. Because there's a lot of guys still around that Michael disposed of. And when they go out there, I can assure you, deep down somewhere, Michael's cheering that they win. Even if it was a former opponent, enemy, if you will. He wants them to win because then he wins. So it's a very interesting debate. It's one of the reasons that I despise it, but it's also one of the reasons that I never miss an opportunity to participate in it. The pound for pound, it's just one of these things, but Khabib is not done until all of his opponents are also done.